trying to make it so there's not that glare on the screen. So, good morning, everybody. Let's see if I can get this all set up right. Okay, so main issue that I'm having, we're taking a look at the device in depth. So, if you look at OPXY screen, you're going to notice it flickering back and forth. So I'm going to hit stop now, and this is my first example of like the clock jitter that I'm starting to get. And sorry, I'm trying to stabilize this camera. There's a lot of cables. But my issue and what's been going on is basically this jitter of my clock. When I receive an external clock from any source, it looks like it's flickering really fast between two different tempos. So what I'm starting to notice is when I hit play, that sequencer works, but it's at the cost of a very large amount of changing of the clock, like it's like flipping out. And in Elektron world, the clock isn't moving that much. And the other Elektron box I've synced next to it actually isn't moving at all either. So this is where I don't know if it's my OPXY. I don't know what the issue is. And so now I've made countless tickets telling them this issue that I'm having right now. What it leads to, or what the problem I start to have. All right, so I got the drums running over here on a Digitac, right? And let's say I get ready to do my sync. So, of course, super easy. If we draw notes in, it's gonna work, right? The problem becomes when I start to play notes in, right? The resolution changes because the clock is jittering the way it is. It's just like flickering. Even though I'm not like changing anything, everything's at 120. And what I'll end up doing is I'll go into like my bass channel. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So that time I didn't get clock jitter. But now if I change the resolution, watch what starts to happen. This gets kind of interesting because you'll hear how I play and you'll hear how it records. I'm trying to do this as an example. So we'll see how close. Right there. So that's perfect example of how it messed up, right? I did not record it like that, and it did that. So there's my first problem with it. And it's because this clock is flickering at like this crazy rate where it's not staying stable. So the problem that I keep having is right there. You get a dotted eighth note issue on something you're trying to record if, and this is a big if you're at a heavier resolution. We're at 4, we're not 4 pages, we've turned 1 page into over the course of 4 beats, so we've slowed it down 4 times. And when that happens, it screws up how it records, because this clock is jumping between 120 and 119 so erratically. I don't have a better word for that. So I'm going to do it again so you guys can see this problem that I'm having, right? So keyboard, I'm going to clear. All right, I just cleared the pattern. Now, if I was recording it 1-to-1, I'm not going to have the same issue because the resolution's fine, and even if the clock's flickering a little bit, you're not going to have resolution errors. It's moving too fast. So if I was like, it'll sound right, you know? But if I change the resolution, right? Meaning if I do divide by 4, if I move the sequencer 4 times as slow, when I start recording these notes, it's really sloppy. Like, it's because there's so much glitch in the clock tempo that's it's receiving. And the thing is this clock is not glitching. On the Digitone or Digitac, we got a steady 120 here. It's not moving. All right, so these are the sync issues that I'm starting to realize, and this is the ticket I'm with. So let's listen. You'll hear, watch how the notes record. See, dotted eighth off, you know, and it's because this clock's glitching. It's not the way I played it, and they're quantized. This is also the other problem, is already set to 100%, so I can't quantize it. It quantized it incorrectly, where when I record, I would expect quantized to be off, not on. Okay. And this is the problem that I'm having with the device. So I'm going to turn this down for a second. And I don't know if anybody else is having the same issues I'm having, but I'm assuming that people at Teenage Engineering are starting to think I'm crazy. And I'm crazy because of a dotted eighth note. It's a dotted eighth note off because of the glitch on the incoming clock. And the recommendation I'm having to the coding is to actually change the PPQ. Like, there's a reason Elektron boxes record so good, okay? When you're on Elektron, and I'm trying to zoom up, this clock that it's receiving from another box isn't flipping out. If it's going to change, it changes once every 4 bars. It waits to kind of update. And look, this thing's been on since we turned it on. If I recorded with the Digitone or the Digitac, we would be dead on beat, right? But it's the moment I start using something with a clock that's having an aneurysm. Look at this clock. I'm going to bring it close again so everybody can see it. It's just flipping out. It's like 120, 119, 120, 119. And this is in between every single bar. It's moving so fast that it's at the speed of the clock, but faster. So the issue that I'm having that's becoming a problem is that I can't record eighth notes correctly on the OPXY when it's synced to external gear. Okay, and when I'm live recording, that's the problem. If I was just playing the notes in like a machine, it would not matter. If I was just touching notes into the grid, this would not be a problem, okay? But the big problem is because I physically play all the time. I play everything that I make. I don't really make techno where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Like, I do that every once in a while. Yeah, I step record sometimes. But most of the time, the music you hear from me is all live recorded. And when I teach on this stream, the whole platform is based on live recording music and us learning how to do key signatures and how to make music, right? So this is the overall issue I'm having. I'm off about, I don't know, I'm off about a good 8th, 16th, 32nd note anytime I live record on an OPXY if I'm at a higher division on the grid. So anything from 2 to 4 to 6, these are where all the problems are. If I'm running the grid at one time and I'm running at pages, I don't notice the issue as much. It still happens, I just don't notice it as much. But if I go into any higher resolution, like this kind of thing where I'm like dividing by 4, the grid is completely not recording correctly on an eighth note level. All right, so that's been my reason that I've kind of slowed down on streaming the OPXY. I know everybody was watching me stream on this thing a lot, but during the stream as I record, it never would record me right if I was in Divide 4, and I started going back to using all my Elektron gear because the clocks are a little more stable. The PPQ that this is sending and receiving is not very stable. Now, there's also another issue. When I start using this MIDI into something, this clock starts to become unstable because of what this is sending. So the main clock inside of this has an enormous amount of drift. And if I switch my setup and we look at the Digitax input, you would actually see the same thing. And then if this is sending that MIDI clock moving that fast downstream, it throws off eighth notes inside of the Digitac. So I can use the OPXY when it's by itself with no problems, right? I love it when I'm on the couch, when I'm traveling and someone's driving and I'm like using it in the car, if I'm using it at my family's house. It's my favorite sequencer to use. I love sampling. I love the engines in it. But the moment I get back home to my studio, I can't sync it with other gear. So this has been my issue number one. And now I don't know if any other person out there has been having these issues or anybody else has reported any of this, but this has been my finding in the last, I've had it since November 27th, I guess is the day I got mine. And I've noticed clock jitter like this since the day I got it. So I think if anybody wonders what's happening in my world as far as what's happening with these streams, I've kind of slowed down because of my inability to get this thing to record the way that I want. And what you're seeing now is a very good example of the eighth notes and how they're off. So, you know, I've wanted to keep showing more and teaching more about the device, but as I play with it, I'm always about an eighth or a 16th note off because of what's happening inside the clock. Now, the new settings too, I went in and turned off echo. I turned MIDI in only. I didn't use MIDI out. I'm not sending MIDI back out of the device. So I actually shut down MIDI from front to end on this too. Ah, Jay, oh my goodness. So yeah, okay, this is great. Thanks for chiming in and thanks for being vulnerable, because I know sometimes telling people you're having issues with your studio. When I was talking to Elektron, I felt like kind of, I keep feeling bad because the issue that I keep having is exactly that. So Jay, you're right. In and out and through, I can't get this thing to clock sync with anything that I've tried to use it with. So I agree with you. You're using with a Roland? Is that a Roland? The loop pedal 505? Is that right, Jay? I'm assuming right now, but I was pretty sure the RC505 is a loop pedal, right? And I'm guessing, yes, okay, so I know what you're talking about. And I'm guessing that, Jay, the idea that that pedal syncs probably with everything else in your studio, no problem. Is that right? Because the issue that I was telling them too is, you know, I use Elektron, I've used it since Mark 1. Having to do it manually, does that mean you both put them at like 120 and pray to God they stay at the same tempo for a little while? Is it like that kind of, is that like how you're doing it? Or when you say manually, are you just like tapping with your finger, tap tempo? Because I'm curious now, Jay. I've got a couple other people that I've been talking to on Instagram. They're a couple friends of mine that own the same the XY, and they're testing all these sync issues with me. So like I have the Electro Harmonics EHX 50 or 95,000, and same thing. If I have this thing synced with it, I get these dotted note issues, and that's what you're seeing. You get like the clock is like, it's like jittering. Look, it's messing up because I picked it up. When I move it too, it can't even stay stable. That's another thing. It loses. Like, look at that. If I touch the MIDI cable, did you see it? It just like screws it up too. Yeah, and it stays in sync pretty well, but only with BPMs that are not too slow or oh, like right in the middle. I gotcha. I mean, what's crazy is you just saw it lose connection, you know, and this connection works with everything else I use. There we go. It just came back. But yeah, like you're right. Like if you start doing like drum and bass or something, it's even worse. Or if you start doing like ambient Brian Eno, 60 BPM, I started noticing same thing. Like that's when the recording in this gets even worse. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because I do a little bit of like, I guess dubstep, not dubstep, but like the style of it with techno. But yeah, I agree with you. I thought 140 was like my break point because I started recording at 145 with this, and this guy started acting like it was really having a big problem. Oh, I'm grabbing coffee. Again, Jay, thank you for sharing everything that you're telling me. I really, really appreciate it. And it kind of confirms that that I'm having the same thing. And then here's what I did, Jay. This is going to make you, I don't know if it's going to make you laugh or make you cry. Yeah, well, the OPZ does the same thing. How about that? The OPZ is their step sequencer as well. And then I started digging back into my OPZ to be like, oh, I guess I use it so much by itself that I don't really use it with other gear. And the only time I use it with other gear, I plug a keyboard into it and I use it as a sound module. But what I have found is when I started using the OPZ, the clock is just as erratic with the drift. And when I go to record notes in, it's about an eighth note, a 16th note, or a 32nd note off. And I'm going to show you guys that same example. Okay, so I have a drum sound in here, kick, and that's it. And then I have a bass sound, and then I have a kick and a snare in the Digitac to show you the tempo that's really happening, right? I hope they fix it too, yeah. And here's what I'm going to do. I put it at divide 4, and then when I go to record, I'm just going to record some fast notes inside of it. So we're going to do a little... And you heard me not mess up, so I'm going to be curious. So that actually did it right that time, surprisingly. And let's try it again. Like, what if I try to do the chords I did last time is where I had error, so it was... Let's see. Yep, there it goes. Do you see it messed up that note? So that's what I'm talking about. Every single time... I didn't play it like that. I played it in time. And when it records it, the other issue is it already quantized it, so I can't fix it with quantize, right? So this is the big kick in the butt. Like, why would they even have quantize turned on record on? They should have it off, and then when you get done recording, they should have it let you have the ability to quantize it. Now, this is where the OPZ is better, and it fixes it, right? It says that I'm at 100%, and then I'm at SH, the original swing, which I don't have any swing. And I don't know if I'm at 100% quantized, you would expect it to do it right, like to fix the note and put it on beat, right? And yeah, okay, so watch this. If I go here, now I unquantized it. I bet you, like you said, Jay, it'll play it more like I did it. Watch this. Yeah, see? And I did that a little delayed. They receive that as... I'm going to try to fix that note, but they received it really bad, you know what I mean? And that's... I think that's the issue. I mean, how many people have brought up tickets, right? And I save a template that has all oh my God, Jay. Listen to this, dude. Super genius. Yes. Very smart. So then you just go to like blank set 1, start working, and then you save it as a different name. I get it. Yeah, very good call. Well, and you would imagine quantize would fix things, not screw them up more, right? So I feel like I'm not trying to be weird or anything. I've sent them, I want to say upwards of 20 tickets. I don't want to say I'm on 30 tickets right now, but I have consistently, every time there's been an update, made a complaint that it's not recording correctly, and I have sent it to them, and I said multiple times that I believe the clock's picking up and receiving and dumping clock too fast, that it's not smooth enough. And I did not want to be... I keep apologizing when I hit them up, but I mean, this is like $2,000. I mean, I bought... Yeah, I mean, I bought this thing for $450, this Elektron box, and guess what? It never does a bad job doing any MIDI whatsoever. I've never had a problem day one. And I am, not to brag, I'm an original Octatrack user, an original Mono Machine user. Those machines never fail. Never. And a lot of the new Roland Sync stuff seems to work fine. My new Electro Harmonics works fine. All the Eurorack stuff I use with clock and everything seems to work fine. So yes, it keeps becoming that this thing I just keep pushing out of my studio because it can't play well with others. I have a lot of fun by itself. I love it. It's becoming like the OP1 where I got to use it as I call it an island device. Has anybody ever had a piece of gear that became island device, right? What's island device? It's when you're like, dude, are you serious? I can only use this thing by itself? Yeah, it's so frustrating. I know, Jay, thank you for talking. I appreciate it, Jay. I'm beyond frustrated, and, I love their stuff, and I love playing with all the toys, but I'm not happy with the way the sync is being received and the way the sync's being sent. I was hoping, I love it. I'm hoping to use it for my... Yeah, like you're not... Yeah, okay, so let's say this, Jay. If you were going to use it, you would have to learn how to live sample into it and use it as everything. The looper, the whole... You would do everything from this so that you didn't have all the jitter from it trying to talk to other devices. That would be horrible. The other thing, Jay, and I hate saying this, and where I found a small amount of success, and you're going to really... You're going to laugh when I say this. I can send voltage out of the output, and it's just an eighth note clock trigger, and then I can send that into a piece of Eurorack, and at least that works okay. But it's just, I can only sync it with modular gear correctly. I cannot use it with MIDI gear sync correctly. So, yeah, I'm glad you're confirming with me, because I feel like this has been the big issue. I don't know if they were watching what I was doing or talking to me about it, but I wanted to start talking to the community about it because a lot of times on YouTube, I love the people that I talk to. I love hearing people tell me they like and don't like things. I know people think I get kind of weird when someone's like, I hate that. And I'm like, I actually appreciate that opinion. I feel bad that Scott Synth dude too kind of dipped out because his videos weren't that bad if you were into keyboards. I'm not into keyboard synths, but that dude was doing cool video, and that he gave a very strong opinion about copyrights that he didn't know the correct information. So he went a little half-cocked into that video. But he was a good dude with good intention, and I think the community snapped because you can't just say people who use battery-powered sequencers are all losers and then think they're going to be cool about it, And you can't, diss a company to say that, you can't use that to make music when clearly everyone in the world has made music with their gear. So there was a little bit of weirdness there about it, and I feel like the undertones of this device now are starting to get kind of, I don't know, man. If you can't sync it, what's the deal? Now you're starting to see where some of us are cheering for them to do a good job and say, please help us out, please do what we want, but at the same time, I'm like, how many times I have to tell them that the clock is jittering, and now what have we had? We've had 1.09, 1.13, 1.15, 0.15, and now we're at 1.21. We've had 4 updates, and continuously, I honestly think the very first update, when I very first got it, was the best that it worked, even though it was so glitchy then. I don't know. All right, buddy. Yeah, Jay, thanks for talking, man. I really appreciate it. We're on stream today for not too long. I have to work a little bit later. But I wanted to make a video to show what's happening in my device. I'm glad someone was on stream talking with me to kind of confirm. It is freezing cold in the United States right now, and I hope everybody's staying warm and being safe, that you're leaving a light bulb in the basement and stuff like that so nothing freezes. I saw there was even snow down in Florida, so I saw that it's everywhere in the United States right now. And yeah, I've been hunkering down and making a lot of music because I've been using the Elektron stuff because it's so rock solid. And a lot of the music that I've been working on is, and I'm going to turn this thing off because honestly, like Jay was saying, I'm a little frustrated at this point, but man, I've been so productive with my Elektron stuff that it's kind of, I say it's kind of silly. Writing some Knight Rider music, right? And then I copy my pattern. And then I paste my patterns, right? And now I'm going to make a different version of the groove. So this is how I make patterns in this world. So like I said, I hope everybody stays warm today. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate everybody. And hey, enjoy the rest of the day, okay?